Okay, next under the File menu, we're going to look at something cool aspect of what SoundForge can do, and that is non-destructive editing. We may get into some other aspects of this later on in some other movies, but I'm going to introduce the concept to you here and show you how these next dialogues, both the Save As, Project, and then the Render As, which are the next couple of items here under the File menu, work. Okay, so we've got our files open here inside of SoundForge again, and what I want to do is, let's imagine a scenario for a second. Let's say I've been working in this file down here on the bottom. I've been working on it for like hours and hours, and I've made some really cool edits. I'm sure I'm finished for the night. I close it up, come back the next day, open the file up again, take a listen to it, and you know what? There's a couple edits in there that either I was too tired, didn't have enough caffeine in the old body at the time, but the edits sound lousy. Well, if I had made those edits just on this file as it sits here on the screen right now as a WAV file, those are called destructive edits, meaning that if it was the only copy of the file I had, I'd be pulling a Homer Simpson at this time and going, "No!" Because that's it. I've altered the file. I've made those cuts. I've made those fades and other effects that I've applied to it, and it's done. I've got to go back and now re-record that file or hopefully find another copy someplace that I can re-edit. However, SoundForge gives you another option. If you know you're going to be making a bunch of changes to a file, or even if you just as a regular habit want to make files like this, it gives you the opportunity to save the file under a format that they call, let's go under Save As, SoundForge Project File. And it gives it a .frg ending on the file. So I'm going to go ahead and name this one. I'm going to add another underscore and add another 1 there. And I'm going to save this as a SoundForge project file. When I do that, what happens is you can see that the file hasn't changed. It physically looks the same, physically sounds the same. I mean, everything is all there. However, the file format has changed, and what it's doing is it's allowing me to now edit non-destructively. And what that means is I can make changes to the waveform and to the file and do all kinds of cuts and shortening things and lengthening things, but it's doing it to a series of pointers that are referencing the files themselves. And it may create some temporary files for crossfades and other things like that, but it's not actually changing the file itself. The beauty here is that my original file remains untouched, so that after I mess with this file for a few hours and I just am frustrated as all get out and discover that I just can't fix it, I can always go back and open up my original WAV file and it will be there untouched and unscathed, and I'll be able to then go back in and decide how I want to proceed from there. The other beautiful thing about saving it as the project format is that it allows me to keep my undo history. So anything that I do to the file will be saved in a history so that I can always come back even after, if I save the FRG file the next day and open it up and go, you know what, I don't like the way that edit that I did last night at 3 in the morning. I can just go back and undo it because my entire undo history is there. So let's go through and just make a quick simple change. I'll just select the last half of this file here and I'll just go up and I'll just do a quick fade out again. So now I've made a change to this file. If I save the FRG file, project file, it will be saved with all those parameters. And when I open it back up again, everything will be there. However, because it's just a reference information that it's pointing to, it's not an actual audio file. So if I go to save this at this point in time, I can do a save as, but it's not going to actually save my changes. It's only going to save what was originally there in the file. Once you have a project file open and you want to save it as an actual audio file that you can use in another application, such as video editing or to post on the internet or something like that, you actually now have to go up and render as, because it actually has to go through and it looks at all those pointer files that it made when I was making all my changes, and then it actually renders out an audio file in whatever format I want. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and render out an AIF file. I now make my choices here and I hit the save button. However, I'm rendering, so I hit the save button. It has now been successfully saved. Would you like to open it in a new window? Can I show this message in the future? Yes, no. Sure, I'll open it up in a new window. And there's my file completely rendered out with my fade out. And there's the fade out at the end right there. It's a really cool format, being able to save them as project files, because it allows you to edit non-destructively, mess around and do all kinds of crazy things, and not have to worry about your original audio file being altered in any way.